Yeah, so I play football for Wales, 52 caps, captain the under-19s team. For Cardiff, went to a Champions League. Yeah, so...
There's some serious genes there.
Can you eye all the options up? Sky's the biggest platform. Ben's doing wonders for the sport, but then if you look at the female stable with boxer as well, that's growing and growing. I just got into boxing because basically I was a little shit. Yeah, I was a little shit in school. Basically, I got expelled from 4 schools, couldn't get into another school, so I joined the non-mainstream school, and for their PE lessons, they went down to the local boxing gym on a Friday.
Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing. Welcome back to Mouthpiece. We are in the presence of 2
of boxing royalty,
Olympic medalists. Let's start with Karriss, bronze Tokyo 2020, bronze World Championships 2019, silver European Championships 2018. 2019, I can't read that. And then we go on to Lauren Price, gold Tokyo, gold European Games, gold World Championships, gold Commonwealth Games 2018 this time, silver kickboxing, and we know that there's football in there, there's everything else in there as well, there's taekwondo, there's everything.
Some serious credibility there.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
You just would not want to get in a fight with these 2, honestly. But thank you for coming on the pod.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I know it's a long journey.
Yeah, touching 4 hours, it's not short, is it?
We'll try and get the energy back up.
Yeah.
You've just turned pro. Why boxer and why now?
In the end, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really. We wanted to see, obviously Ben, he was new on the scene, and we just wanted to see what he could do to start off with. Like I said, when we got back from Tokyo, we had a lot of offers and stuff like that, but the biggest thing was not to rush into it. And we just obviously watched a few shows, and every show he seemed to be getting better, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, he's definitely getting better and better. The more we watch the shows, the better they are improving and whatnot. So.
Yeah, and I just think, like, obviously women's boxing as well has taken off, and I think he's done a lot for the sport already, so it's exciting. And in the end, we both decided boxer, didn't we, and Sky.
Is that like something you look at? You look at the character of the promoter as well. You make sure that you keep a close eye, and just you're going with the person as much as the business and the broadcast and everything else.
You do what's best for yourself, really, don't you? So when you take a step back and you eye all the options up, Sky's the biggest platform. Ben's doing wonders for the sport, but then if you look at the female stable with boxer as well, that's growing and growing. Not that means anything for me as an individual for my career, really, because they're not going to help me pursue my dreams in a way, are they? Like, I'm getting in the ring to fight at the end of the day, but you want to be surrounded by the best, don't you, at the end of the day as well? So I suppose you take that into accountability as well.
Were you 2 always going to make the same decision? Was there ever a chance of one going in one direction and one going in the other?
Not really, no. We always kind of...
Yeah, we always said that whoever we go with the same one, didn't we?
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
We live together, train together.
Stuck by side, aren't we?
So,
it's true.
Yeah.
Why now? Obviously, the next Olympics is not that far away. Do you guys feel like you've accomplished everything in the amateur game and you're ready to turn pro, or why was it now?
Well, she's accomplished everything, hasn't she? So
for myself, I don't know. It was a bit weird for me. You always... After talk, you wanted to go pro, didn't you? You always had your head.
I always knew I was going to go pro. I just didn't know when. And for me, I've achieved a lot more than what majority of the amateurs could say, I suppose. Like, I've medalled at every major, the Worlds, Europeans, the Olympics. The only one I didn't major because I didn't compete at was the Commonwealth Games. But in my head, I was like, do I stay another cycle just for the Commonwealth Games, even though I've medalled at bigger tournaments, or do I push on now to go pro at the age of 27.
Yeah, and for myself, really, as an amateur, I ticked every box. Obviously, hitting the big one with the Olympics, and for me, it was the right time to turn with 27. And obviously, if we stayed on for Paris, we'd be hitting 30 then, getting on to me. Yeah. So yeah, it was the right time to turn, and I think obviously we were at that point as well where I'd say like the last 18 months, women's boxing have come on a lot. Yeah. Even like obviously like the other week, Savannah headlining and stuff like that, the support she had, coming out, and it's just shown like the sport have grown and grown and grown. So I think it's a perfect opportunity and chance for us both to, be on a platform like Sky and be with boxer and, showcase our skills. And what did Adam say? The next best thing or something like that.
He's got all the punchlines.
He has.
What differences have you been able to see in your short time as professionals? I know you haven't had your debuts yet, but have you seen a huge change in either the way you have to approach training or lifestyle or just anything since turning pro?
Training's different. The sessions are a lot longer. Rounds are obviously longer, aren't you? You're in the ring for a longer period of time, but I've always put 100% in some training sessions anyway. So with you, we've always pushed ourselves 100%. So I wouldn't say we're training harder physically. I think it's just, well, I suppose you can say that, but it's more mentally. I think because you've got to like push on. You're in the ring, like I say, for a longer time. So instead of doing, I don't know, 3 threes on the bag, you're doing like 10 twos instead. So it's a longer duration of time. But other than that, like I believe we're fit people anyway. So
yeah, I think it's
to keep the high tempo and that in the ring, like they say when you're an amateur, you're on your toes in and out sort of thing. When you go pro, you need to stop doing that and settle your feet.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't want to settle that tempo down. I want to keep a high tempo as well as like dig the big shots in as well. So I don't know. It's, I've just completely gone off track with your question there.
But I think obviously with us as well, because we come from that kind of background of being with GB and stuff. You know, we're already elite amateurs training, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So the transition over, it isn't that big. Like Karriss said, is just like little things we got to take into consideration. Like you said, like plant your feet a little bit more and
still keep a high tempo, but instead of like in and out on your feet for 3 threes,
just
like
adding different things in it to your game.
You just got to change that a little bit, I suppose. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got styles that will complement the pro game maybe even more than the amateurs? Amateurs is almost, even though it's becoming a bit more pro style, it is still essentially point scoring rather than sitting down and trying to hurt people the same way. Do you feel like your styles lend itself better to the pro game than the amateurs?
I'd say especially Karriss, because she got a bit of a dig on it, especially for her weight class as well.
I just feel like I get fitter as the fight goes on as well. Like 9 times out of 10, if I was to lose a round in the amateurs, it'd always be the first round, but then I'd win the second and the third. So I think as the fights and the rounds go on, I get better and just find my groove a bit better. But yeah.
And for myself, as an amateur, I had always obviously given a lot of weight away, so I'd only be weighing like, I don't know, just over 69 kilos, 70 kilos.
Just about.
Yeah, boxing at 75. So I didn't have no choice really than to be in and out and, use my skill that way. But now I suppose I'm coming down in weight and I have got a little bit more time to plant my feet, let my hands go, more combinations and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it and excited.
Is the weight bit an advantage? Because, I mean, obviously when you're an amateur, you weigh in pretty much and then you're fighting, within whatever it is. It's not like how we are now where we have to kind of get down to weight as a pro and then you just rehydrate. Does that help with how you're able to like attack the fight? Are you able to look at the weight and be like, actually, it's better for me to go pro here? Was that question crazy?
That was
that
was
a bonkers question.
Yeah,
I went round in a circle. I heard it. Did you see it? Did you see me halfway through? I thought, oh damn. What I mean is, you're changing your I mean, you're obviously changing weight category. Is that better for you than fighting at the higher weight in the amateurs?
For me, the weight that I'm potentially going to go down to wasn't in the amateurs anyway, which is why I never did it in the amateurs. I boxed at featherweight in the amateurs, which is when I'm on it, it's easy to make.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I've had a long breakout and I've got to start like chipping away at the kilos, that's when it gets a bit difficult. But once I'm like active and consistent with it, it's sound to make the weight. I've been super bantamweight before as well. I was weighing in that for the qualifiers one, so I know I can make that weight as well. But how I'll perform at that weight for so many rounds, I don't know, which is why I'll give it a bash and see how I get on with it.
I feel like you'll be just fine if you've done super bantamweight. Then
say again. If I've done super bantamweight.
Yeah.
When?
Is that what you just said?
I've not boxed at it, but I weighed in at that weight, but obviously it wasn't a weight category in.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not sure how you would have fought at that weight.
Well, I've weighed in at that weight, and realistically, because when I jumped on the scales, that was the weight I was, but obviously that wasn't the weight target I had to be for the.
It's interesting because you see some people who come out of the amateurs and they're just like, all right, I'm gonna boil myself down as far as I can go because it gives me every possible potential physical advantage.
You're a big featherweight anyway. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. If I can't perform at super bantamweight, I'll just stick to featherweight. It makes no dramas to me. I just think if I got like the opportunities to box at both, like obviously start the lower weight and then move on to the bigger weight afterwards, then
multi-weight world champion.
Yeah, and then obviously keep creeping up each time. Then happy days. But if I can't, then I'll start featherweight and then move up from that weight.
Being such accomplished amateurs, what is your plan for the pace of the pro game? Are you going to try and take like a Lomachenko route, let's say, and start hitting titles like straight away? Are you going to try and adjust to the pro game and stuff and take your time, or?
Yeah, I think we're going to take our time. Obviously, we're going to be moved a little bit quicker than the normal people. But for myself and for you, really, we like what we've said is we just want a step up each fight. So for us, I think it's just like the little things, you know, getting used to not wearing like an egg guard or coming out and be getting used to the crowd and stuff like that, because we're used to going abroad. Being in a mad country, you know, Ulan-Ude in Russia, and the crowd's dead over there's like, I don't know, just
it's a big crowd, but it's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's all like
That's what I mean.
like,
So,
I mean, so
it's just like little things like Anna taking the box.
That's pretty much the main thing for me. Just walking out, all lights are on you, aren't you? It's not like a conveyor belt where one boxer goes out 9 minutes later, you're out. It's like that whole like moment in time is focused on you, sort of thing. So just getting used to that and walking out, and because we've not fought since the Olympics as well, just I don't know, just getting used to fighting again, I suppose, in the ring. But then obviously, like she said, each fight I definitely want to step up, and then depending on how my performances are will depend on how big of a step up I want each time. Like.
You mentioned the crowd there. What was it like at the Olympics? Obviously, you boxed all over the world and you've experienced the crowds, but in Tokyo there was, I take it, the only crowd was sort of just the other teams and other sort of athletes that were in and around the bubble. Yeah. What was it like fighting with just no crowds there at all?
For me, you know, I kind of I preferred it because I could hear the corner. So like when they were giving me instructions, I could just hear everything they were saying.
You could hear we had like the biggest boxing team as in like GB, didn't we? So you could hear our like little group of people in the background as well, quite clear. So it was nice to actually be able to understand and I suppose listen to what people were saying outside of the ring, because normally when you go away it's just a big blur and you're just hearing all the other countries cheering.
Or banging drums or just, you know.
Was the Olympics different to what you expected it to be? Obviously it's usually a huge celebration and there's no COVID any other year except for the last one. Did that mean that you have to knuckle down a bit more and you're more concentrated? Is there less things to distract you, or was it a little bit of a downer because it wasn't as, you know, festivally as Rio?
Nah, I still think like, even though we hadn't been an experienced Olympics before, it still had that kind of, like we were in the village together when we were with all the other athletes. It still felt.
Once you got in the village, that's when it felt like
felt
the
real,
Olympics.
It felt like
in the morning camp, but you were still all a bit separated. There was only like us, football and divers, was it? Yeah. But then when you actually got in the village, everyone was in there. The only difference was obviously you had to wear a mask while she was moving around.
But you could, everyone could, even different countries, everyone could mix once you're in. Okay.
You just had to wear a mask and that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we didn't really go to like the opening ceremony or that because I think you were boxing
the next day anyway.
I think it meant like you were on your feet for about 5 hours. Yeah. So, we chinned that off and but it was a great experience all in all. Like.
Any notable moments that you can think of that you think, oh, that was a sick moment or a sick night or anything from Tokyo?
Not winning your gold medal, no?
Yeah, winning my gold medal, but I'm trying to think.
It's a shame we couldn't go out and explore it, but then at the same time, when you go away and box at a tournament, you just hide in your room anyway because you're getting ready to fight, aren't you? You never really...
It was a bit weird because it was all spread out. Like, I was like at the back end, you was at the start, weren't you?
I medalled before a lot of people had even boxed.
Like I had like 2 fights and I had like 5 days off. It was just really strange how it all, like people's finals were on different days, and if you'd already boxed, if you'd lost, then because of the COVID, they were flying home then.
Within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours.
So you have to leave once you're out of.
Yeah, there was like like I stayed behind obviously because Lauren's my partner, and I think Luke stayed behind because obviously Pat's his brother sort of thing. So there was ways you could stay, but majority of people got shipped out within 24 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
I think in the end it was only me, you, Ben, Galal.
That's who flew on the last fight.
Yeah, that was it really.
5 of us, weren't they?
About 5 of us, yeah.
Was your plan to always go to the Olympics? Let's going back to the very start. One, I guess, how did you get into boxing, both of you? But when you did start, was the amateur goal to go to the Olympics?
For me, yeah. I've always been involved from sport from a young age, from the age of 8, playing football, kickboxing, and it's a bit mad really. I was sat in the living room one day and I seen Kelly Holmes win gold, and that's what inspired me. You know, 8-year-old kid watching the Olympic Games on TV, it was just crazy. And from that moment on, I just wanted to go to the Olympics. I didn't know what sport I was going to compete in or anything like that. I just wanted to go.
So you tried them all out.
Tried them all, yeah. And then I got introduced then into London in 2012, and that's when I kind of made the transition over from kickboxing to boxing just before the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. I got selected then with Wales, and I went to them, won a bronze medal, and then got selected on the team and just went round from there. And after Rio I got myself onto Team GB. So
And somewhere in the midst of this you were also a footballer.
Yeah, so I played football for Wales, 52 caps, captain the under-19s team, played football for Cardiff, went to a Champions League. Yeah, so
There's some serious genes there. That's crazy. Is all your family so athletic? Did you come from a fighting family, a sporty family?
No, not really, just me.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've just taken all them genes instead? Yeah, you just got everything.
Just got them all.
Why did you leave an easy sport like football? We can call it easy in comparison to boxing, even after having, gone to Champions Leagues and capping for your country. Why would you leave that and go to boxing?
It was just that opportunity there at that time. I was like boxing for Wales, and then like I was playing football the week after, and things were clashing. And Colin Jones, the Welsh national team coach, he said to me, "Oh, you got the opportunity to go." And in my head, I thought if it didn't work out for me, I could always go back to playing football. But then I won a medal, went around with Wales, picking up experience, just going to like international tournaments and stuff like that. And I just started medaling, and as soon as I got onto Team GB, then my career just kind of went from there, and just progressed and started.
I can only imagine the boot of your car. It must have looked just like mine. You open my boot and there's like 3 pairs of football boots, 3 pairs of gloves.
Yeah.
It's just like you just don't know if you're coming or going, but yeah, you're just one of those people that can probably pick up a baseball bat.
I don't mind.
Do you know what? There's enough sports here
Yeah.
to suggest that whatever sport you have a go at,
Well, I can't
you'll
swim,
get to a decent
so
level. Oh, you can't swim.
No, I'm terrible.
We found one.
Yeah.
We found one. In terms of the professional game, it's obviously, it's the same sport, but it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
What are your aspirations for it in terms of long-term goal? Where do you want to be in, the twilight of your career?
For myself, I want to be a multi-weight world champion. I want to be undisputed. Achieve as much as I can.
Karriss?
Probably the same, multi-weight world champion, or I don't want to just become one, get one title and then move on and jumping around all different weights. I want to be dominant in one specific weight to start with. I want people to look at me and be like, she's the best at that weight category, full stop, period, sort of thing, and then I'll move on. I don't want to win one world title and then jump onto a different weight category and then so on, and just bobbing and weaving through weight categories. I want to be dominant at each one if I compete in them.
Women's boxing is on the absolute rise at the moment. It seems like you're here at the perfect time, but it's still relatively young as a sport. So do you have boxing inspirations that maybe that pushed you in the direction of boxing, or was it too young of a sport?
I just got into boxing because
I was a little
shit. I was a
Yeah,
little shit in school. Basically, I got expelled from 4 schools. Couldn't get into another school, so I joined the non-mainstream school. And for their PE lessons, they went down to the local boxing gym on a Friday. And then the coaches were like, "Come, 3 times a week it is, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We can see something in you, sort of thing." So I did, and I just stuck with it since then.
Sick. Just you know what? You don't often hear that. Getting expelled from 4 schools. That's quality. Honestly, that
Can
is
you
a good
list
record.
why you got expelled? Are you allowed to say why? Getting from
just
4s.
fighting and just locking the teachers out of the classrooms and that, and just being a little nightmare basically. Yeah, but
the army sort of.
I've always had to be hands-on. I just couldn't sit in a classroom, and
Yeah.
because I joined the army as well, I had to be doing something active, just getting stuck in.
Did you box in the army?
So I started boxing at 16, and then I took a bit of time out to join the army, and then I did a bit in the army. I had done the ABAs and the Haringey Box Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was only on there though for about a year and a half, 2 years before I got into Team GB.
Amazing.
I've read somewhere that you boxed Sky Nicholson on the road to the Olympics. At the Olympics, sorry.
Because
Obviously,
they bring it up on Matchroom all the time.
The sport is obviously very different from the amateur to the pros, but who else have you guys beaten that's sort of a notable girl that's now in the pro game?
I haven't. No one else.
Is it just...
No one else is pro that I've boxed. Like Ellie Scotney's pro obviously, but she beat me about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Sky Nicholson, they're the only two I think I've boxed that are now pros. Like all the others are like obviously Philippines, Japanese, and all that. Like they're not pros sort of thing. So.
Why do you think everyone, in different parts of the world don't turn over? But it seems like now we're in an era. I mean, there was a point last week where you got in the ring and took the photo, and it was like such a big photo. You have, like so many Olympic gold and just Olympic medalists, females in the ring at the same time. You're just like, whoa! Like women's boxing is here now. It's arrived. Why do you think we're so far ahead of some of the other nations in terms of women's
boxing? I don't know if they just don't get the backing. Like I think they get better funding as amateurs or something. I don't know. Like whereas we've got obviously Boxer, Sky,
I think
Matchroom. I think as a UK fighter or like even
it's like Turkey. They get like if they win a Worlds or something, they get like blocks of gold and they get like
really
cars and like
sponsors,
proper brand new 4x4s and that. You get gold medal, you get nothing.
It's the same in Italy, isn't it? Yeah, because a lot of their fighters, they just stay amateur forever because they get really well looked after.
They get looked after. Yeah.
But here, obviously, it's more.
I think it's the other way around. As a pro, you can. Well, there's a lot of money to be made if you're obviously reaching the top levels of the sport sort of thing, and I think profile-wise as a pro as well, it's bigger in the UK as an amateur. It's hard to like.
Even for the boys, really, isn't it? Like,
it's just hard to get. Like obviously, Pat McCormack was one of the well-known boys, wasn't he? But as a pro, I think his following will grow a lot more than what it did as in the amateurs. Like so.
What do you two think about each other fighting? I've heard whispers or rumours that you don't want to fight on each other's on the same card, basically.
I think it's just more nerves in that aspect, isn't it? Like if she was going for a world title and then I was like before her, my nerves would be through the roof watching her go for a world title, and then I've burnt myself out before I even get in the ring, sort of thing. You know what I mean? So it was the same for the qualifiers, wasn't it? And the
I think it'll just be nice for us to like support one another as well.
Yeah.
So obviously like fight week and all that. I could be there for her, she could be there for me, kind of thing, and just have that support really. We'll be like I said, we live together, train alongside one another, do we? And it's, like Karriss says all the time, it's nice to have that kind of home comfort there all the time, and so
you can deal with all the headaches during fight week if I'm fighting and vice versa. So.
Yeah, it's true. I probably can't be any worse than if you're both making weight, you're both preparing to fight.
What do your families make you fighting?
My mum wants me to quit.
Does she?
She wants me to quit. She sees me get a little black eye throughout the week if I'm sparring like multi-nation camps or whatever. She's like,
I think that's enough
you need
now.
to quit, that's enough. You need to have your hands up, this, that and the other. And I'm like, I have got my hands up and I am moving, but it's part and parcel of the game, isn't it? Like, you're going to get little cuts and scratches, whatever.
Yeah. And I live with my nan, and she, well, it's really weird because even in the Olympics, she'll get a result first and then watch the fight back afterwards. So she'll never watch it live, or she won't come to any of the fights. She'll probably watch them afterwards.
That's quite clever.
Then
you know what you want to watch. Yeah. That's it. You just you get the result first.
She gets really nervous. I remember like kickboxing years ago. She'd come and support me, and her head would be in her hands complete time. So I was like, it's pointless.
It's not nice.
They do obviously support us 100%, and if it wasn't
fans
for,
like, but
for them, I wouldn't be where I am now. So it's biggest fans.
Let's talk about the boxer stable. We've obviously got quite a big catalogue of Olympians, women's boxers, up-and-coming male boxers. Who are the ones that you rate the most? That's a crazy question, isn't it? I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But as
female, male, or just overall?
Let's do both. As in, are there certain fighters that you're looking at and you're expecting to overachieve or go all the way, or you just know that they've got something special?
The two you probably know best is Caroline and Fraser, I guess.
Caroline, I think she's only young still. I think she's got the potential of going all the way.
Yeah.
She's a good girl, strong, powerful, but she's also got boxing ability as well. Obviously Tasha Jonas has already done it, world champion. Savannah Marshall, world champion. Clarissa Shields, world champion. That's everyone who was in the ring the other day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, female wise, I think like I said,
we
Ben,
definitely got the best stable out, yeah.
He sent it through the roof, and he like his female stable is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Male wise,
I'm gonna go for what's his name?
Adam Azim.
Yeah.
Adam Azim, yeah. He's class. His brother's decent as well.
I think he's very sharp and he's very quick, and especially his last fight, you know, I was expecting it to be a decent fight, and
just timing and accuracy, like
lasted about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
And obviously Fraser, big Fraser. I'd like to see him go all the way to the top as well.
Yeah, he's proper nice guy. Like we wouldn't meet anyone nicer.
I've never heard anyone say
his
a bad word.
boxing's alright as well. Like.
He's a decent boxer too, but he's so supportive. You know, like even I remember watching the Olympics, and I think it was Galao fighting.
Oh yeah. I think he cried.
All you could hear is Fraser.
Yeah.
That's all you could hear is just Fraser everywhere.
It's mad.
He's
Them
always
two
been
best
flag,
mates, and
isn't he?
it's just like one's up here and one's down there, aren't they? But it's they're like brothers, them two. Yeah.
Has it sunk in for the pair of you that you're going to be inspirations for the next generation of girls growing up getting into the sport? You're obviously now going to be headlining on Sky. You've just come through the Olympics, the first same-sex couple, all that sort of thing. Has that sunk in that you are going to be an inspiration for the next generation?
Yeah, well, I guess so. It's always nice, isn't it? Like when I come back from the Olympics, it's nice to obviously see. Well, when I go back, I had a lot of people outside my house. There was about 300 people in my village, and you know, just like little kids, they wanted pictures with your medal and stuff like that, and you can just see the smile on their face. So for me, I remember obviously I was a young girl once who got inspired by Kelly Holmes. So yeah, to be kind of that role model, and it means a lot. And
it's one thing doing it in, 800 meters, where it's a sport that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, but considering women's boxing was only introduced in London 2012, it is
growing massively.
It's just you are the beginning of the story, and who knows what it becomes.
You can see it even in the amateurs, like the level over the last couple of years, can't you? It's improved massively.
Yeah, it's not even just the level. Like when you enter the tournament, you're not just boxing once or twice. Like you have to box at least 5-6 times to get to the final stages. So it's definitely improved massively. It's not like you're just boxing straight into the medal stages. You have to earn your spot to get there.
Yeah. This weekend we've got the Boxer Series, so a format you'll be more familiar with.
Yes.
3 threes. Do you think, how would you approach a tournament like that if you were in it, knowing that you've potentially got another fight and another fight after that on the same night? Do you go hell for leather in the first fight, or do you try and hold something back, or?
You just got to go hell for leather for all of them, I suppose.
Got to give it all you
3
got.
threes is not a long time at all, and they're going to go hell for leather, aren't they? So
you got to get through the first one, do you know what I mean?
To get to the next one. You always got to treat the first one like it's the finals.
Do you think you just go, is that how you'd approach it? I feel like I would try and hide a little bit. First fight is have a look.
But you're going to give a round away, and then
if
you've
you
only
lose
got 2
that
rounds
first
left
round, you're chasing yourself
it's
straight
a bloody
away.
nightmare chasing them next 2 rounds. Like,
you did it successfully.
But you're making it hard work for yourself. You could easily just win the first round, win the second, cruise the last.
Easier said than done, Mike.
Galao done it in the Olympics, didn't he? He won the first, won the second, and then he just cruised in the last round. He lost it, but
yeah,
but it's easier when you
he knew in his
get
head
he won
the fight, didn't he?
After each round, you get the scores, so you kind of know where you are.
Does that happen in the tournament?
No.
So,
that would be a good idea, though.
I wonder.
That would actually be a good idea, I think.
It is, but it's not, because say if you lost the first 2 rounds, then the other person's just...
No, you're going to look for a knockout.
Yeah, then you've got to go for the knockout.
It might add a bit of drama to it. It's true.
It's something a little bit different as well,
I mean, I'm sure, was it the WBC that started giving scorecards after 4 and 8?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Would you like to know, if you were in a 12-round fight? Would you like to know exactly what the scores are, rather than what your coach is telling you, or what you're thinking?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is a tough one.
It's like I would say, probably. I would say I want to know, because then there's no, what angle you have to go down, whether you can.
Yeah, I suppose.
Keep doing what you're doing, or if you've got to start up in the pace, up in the tempo.
But it could throw you off. It could ruin your head.
If you're 6 rounds down and then you're just swinging for a
that's
knockout,
true.
you're just gonna get picked off left, right, centre, aren't you?
But I suppose that's why they give it after 4 and 8, so you've kind of got thirds to be able to fight in.
I think I prefer it in thirds instead of every single round.
Judging is just such a strange thing. We've seen it just even in recent weeks and months. how it can be so, how one person can just see something completely different to someone else. So sometimes it is good to know what the actual scores would be. So that
for the series, though, that's a good idea, I think. Because those guys...
Make it more exciting.
Yeah.
To get it past the board.
Yeah.
How long do they have off then after the fight?
I think it's a minimum of 20 minutes.
Is it
20 minutes? I think
yeah,
something
20,
like
25.
Yeah.
That'd just be like doing sprints, wouldn't it?
What would you be doing in between rounds? Are you trying to completely chill or trying to just keep the heart rate up a little bit and just trying to keep...
In between bouts?
Yeah, in between bouts, I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
I'd probably
do, like take 10 minutes to chill and then you got to pick yourself back up again. Though,
That
adrenaline,
like dump would be crazy though.
Yeah, like that's what we see a lot of the time with these tournaments. By the time you get to the final,
how many fights is it?
3.
If you win, you've won the quarterfinals, semis, and finals all in one night.
So 9 rounds.
Yeah, 9 rounds potentially.
But it's like free flat out
It's
every
free,
time.
yeah.
Liverpool was just carnage from the first bell, wasn't it?
And you're going backstage, you're seeing these fighters, and they look like they've got nothing left. But they find something. They find something again. I don't know how they do it.
I suppose they're all in the same boat, though.
They're
it's
all
not
in the
like
same,
one's had a bye through to the the
But
semis
some-
or whatever.
Well, sometimes someone blasts their opponent out in the first round, and then another person that you meet has had a 3-round war. We see it all the time, like Mikel Lawal, who's part of the boxing
that's
stable.
what makes him so good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You never know what's going to happen, but yeah, he got a first-round knockout in the final because he was super fresh, and his opponent just had nothing left, and he gets clipped and just is over straight away. So it's a hard one to try and manage. You get a lot of luck there as well because, as I said, it depends how your other opponents have gone.
There's a cut.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a crazy one. Obviously, you guys are turning pro. Have you guys got nicknames yet?
No.
Have you thought about that?
Did you not have some in the amateurs?
You don't really get nicknames. Do you get nicknames in the
I was
amateurs?
just getting called the Bomber, but I don't want to be carrying that through into the pro. It was the Bomber, then it turned into the Bronze Bomber, and I was like, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah. No, we haven't thought of any yet, have we?
No. Triple P.
That can mean a lot of things.
Let's say that for another day, is it?
Yeah.
Got any?
What, nicknames?
Yeah. Killer Karriss.
Huh?
Killer Karriss.
Killer Karriss.
The Bronze Bomber does work. I mean, it sort of rips off the
It's
Untitled.
gone. It's gone. You want one that's...
You need one though, I think. You see some people turn over
yeah.
that nickname, and you may as well try and get one.
I reckon you have 2-3 fights, then people start throwing nicknames at you on these. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
hopefully one that's not been used before.
Like Fraser's been jumping between two. It was Big Phrase, and then there was Fraser the Eraser. Knocking around for a bit. I don't know who started that. Yeah, just before the Manchester show. It was listed on BoxRec as well.
Well, anyway, you're allowed to change them. Hopkins was the alien he ended as.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Big Phrase is what I know him as. That's all I
Yeah, Big Phrase works best, I think.
It does.
Final
question. How do you both want to be remembered when it's all said and done?
A legend, I don't know. No.
Just the best in the weight. Like, just she was the best at that weight in that time. Like, do you know what I mean? No one. Just different. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want it just be she just grazed through them fights. She always she avoided such and such. I want to be the best where people want to chase me and try and beat me to become the best sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? So, just the best in that weight category I compete in.
Yeah, and the same really. Just
no, you can't say
that. Don't know.
The best in 2 weight divisions, is it?
Yeah. No, just to achieve as much as I can and be the best version of myself, I suppose. And yeah, I don't know.
You just want to win fights. Anything you want to get off your chest?
Any names you want to call out? Any titles? Any? What are your plans? Are you just heading straight for titles, or are there names you want to sort of tick off your list as you progress through the pro ranks?
I think it's pretty stupid saying like names and that, because you could say a name now, the fight's not going to happen right now, is it? Because obviously we're just turning over.
Yeah.
But then say if you're calling a name out now and then like all of a sudden they start dropping down, you bypass them, then there's no point fighting that person sort of thing. I just want to fight whoever's got the titles when the time comes to it. Whoever's holding the belts at my weight is who I want to be fighting, sort of thing. So whoever I need to fight on my way to get there, then I'll fight them. And that's pretty much it.
That's all good.
That's all good with us. Guys, I know you probably got a long day. You got to go off to Sky now and do...
Well, I don't know. You tell us. I don't know what we're doing.
Matt will tell you. Thank you for coming on. We will see you both debut on different shows, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, good luck with
Have you got a date in mind?
No, I want a date though. Someone give me
We'll get one for you. We'll get you a date. We'll get you out in the summer. And good luck with training. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that you know you should be doing. And stay locked in because we're going to be dropping exclusive news on this podcast every week. Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing.